You are now listening to the Serious Growth Podcast with your host, Leo Costa Jr.
Welcome to Serious Growth Podcast, and this is a place where the truth is going to be told. It always is. We're going to talk straight, and if that bothers certain people, well, too damn bad as far as I'm concerned.
Let's do it.
Yeah, listen, you know, I was, what a story. I've been reading over your bio, and two words come to mind when I didn't read every single word, but I was browsing through this, and so two words crossed my mind: perfect willingness. Man, I'll tell you what, that is some crazy ass stuff that you went through, you know. And the thing about it is this, you know, we all think that it's really sometimes, you know, you have it bad, but there's always somebody that has it worse, right?
Yeah.
When I read this, I thought, man, you definitely had it worse. So with that being said, what I'd like to do is, why don't you just go ahead and let's start from kind of the first part of your bio, and why don't you just tell us, I think what's really maybe important is that letting us know kind of where you're from and how you started, and let's just hear about it. I'll pipe in and ask some questions in the meantime.
Absolutely. So I was born in Iran, western part of Iran, which is in a border between Iran and Iraq. And right after the revolution happened, the Islamic revolution happened in Iran in 1980. So as soon as 6 months later I was born, I think Iran and Iraq got to a war, 8 years war. So I grew up in that during that time, and only thing I can say it's just like movie. I can't believe it even today what I went through. It was the shortage of everything.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Like, what was a day? And you're like, how old were you? How long did you live there during this time when there was war and revolution?
So the whole 8 years we were on the west part of Iran, and we were considered an enemy of both parties. So they were constantly attacking us because we were Kurdish, and we were not we were part of a religious minority. So during that time, basically my dad, everyone was drafted to the war. So I was the oldest kid. I was like 4 years old, standing on a line to get bread for hours on hours. 6 and 5 in the morning, my mom sent me to get bread, and I would come back like 11, 12 o'clock at noon just with a few loaf of bread coming home. And we were 4 kids, and basically my mom was taking care of us. It was pretty tough. So even for oil to heat up the house, it was pretty rough at the time. And the funny thing happened at the time. The city of Halabja, Saddam, the dictator of the Iraq, he dropped a chemical bomb into their city. So he killed 8,000 people in one day. So they all ran away, came to my city. We were on the border. People were sleeping on the street. I mean, it was a madhouse. So it was just waking up every morning, seeing hundreds of dead bodies coming back from war. They're getting buried down the street from my house. Constantly public execution because of the war. Iran was executing anybody that was against the regime publicly. And I saw him. I was, I think, 7 years old when I saw a guy getting hanged. There were 2 kids, 18 years old. They hang him right in front of us, and we were just watching. It was just unreal. It was an unreal experience. That's all I can say.
Well, I would imagine that something like that you'll never ever forget. I mean, that is brutal, especially when you're a young kid. I mean, anybody, but especially when you're a young kid.
Actually, you know what is funny? It kills your senses. It's just you don't know what to make of it. You just you think it's normal. Actually, it's funny. I'll tell you how it conditions you. It's just that you become this. You look at life and everything else in a different way, completely different way, because that's how you condition to. You think it's normal. After a while, being aggressive, being that way is just a way of life. I noticed it actually when I came to America, and when I changed and I look back and realized, oh my God, what a conditioning. At the time, to be honest, I didn't know what's going on.
Well, I would imagine that, you know, if you don't adapt to that in that way, it's going to eat you alive. It'll kill you.
Absolutely.
You know? So, okay, so you're going through this, and then when did your life, how did it transition from that, which is horrible? What was the next step?
We started, the war was over, and my dad his profession was making musical instruments, like the Persian instrument, the old one. So we started traveling the country, going around, and the war was over. Everyone is just country coming back to it on its own. So my dad working, selling this instrument stuff, and I enrolled in the Taekwondo classes as well. Bodybuilding in Iran was illegal. All the American sports were illegal in Iran at the time.
Illegal? Is that right?
Because in America it was American sport. So up to 1990, bodybuilding was illegal in Iran.
Oh my goodness!
I've never saw a bodybuilder. I've never seen anything bodybuilding picture, magazine. Everything was illegal. Video was illegal. Music was illegal. Everything was, even men, I couldn't go out with a t-shirt, so you had to have a long sleeve to go out.
Is that right?
Yeah. So then while we started moving around, I started going to Taekwondo classes. I was very keen. I was very good athletic. So before I know it, I earned black belt. I started competing in national level, and I was invited to national team to compete. So I was just excited. I was just banging it hard. And one day I was like playing soccer in a little dirt in the back of our house. And one of the guy, my friend, which is my brother-in-law right now, he showed me an Arnold picture. And I said, what the hell is this? We've never seen none of us see the human like that. So I was just fascinated by it. I was just so fascinated by it. I started searching, going to big city, looking for bodybuilding pictures. And that's how I got involved into bodybuilding. And,
okay.
I was around 15, 16 years old. So I was going to art school as well. And I went to, and I got admitted to art university. In Iran, it's very, very hard at the time to get to university because everything was, government was controlling everything. So there was you had to go to public university. So the whole country of Iran was taking about 65 people for art university. I got lucky and I got into it. I was one of the kids in Iran to get into that year. So I was like, okay, this is it. My future is better now. I was excited. A couple of years into it, I was like studying hard, and I was kind of thinking, okay, I can change my life and my family life after graduating. But unfortunately, I noticed one day on a shooting range, I noticed that I can't see with my right eye, and that's when in Iran they diagnosed me with cancer in my right eye. So that's another journey starts from there.
Yeah. Now, at this point, now when you're, was it 16 years of age still, or were you older now?
I was around 18 when I was diagnosed. I went to university. I was around 18, before 19 years old. Yeah.
Okay. And then, so what happened? Oops, what happened with the cancer in your eye? Did you lose your eyesight?
Yeah. So what happened was that I had a cancer in my eye. So we went to a bunch of doctors. They said it's not going to get treated in Iran. This is going to leak. If it leaks to your liver, basically it's the end of it. So I told myself, you know what, I got to go treat this. So I left Iran legally. I had $100. My dad gave me $100. So I went to England. I went through Europe, the whole illegally, going through all these countries. I got to England and I worked in a pizza shop, sleeping in a pizza shop, restaurants, you name it, any job that I could. I saved a bit of money. I sent some money back home to my family. And I went to a doctor over there, and he used laser to fix my eye, but it made my right eye go blind. So I lost sight in my right eye. And
so how do you get into, when you're there illegally, like when you're in, so you're then a refugee, is that right?
Yes, correct.
Is that why you were able to stay there?
Yes. So they gave us basically a claim for asylum. We stayed there, but they were not allowing me to stay. So I was just bodybuilding. I was going to Dorian gym actually in Birmingham.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was training at his gym. I became one of his disciples of the HIT, and I studied Arthur Jones, Mike Munzer, all those guys. But throughout those times when I was basically assigned, we couldn't have I didn't have paperwork to get to drive, to do anything. So we were not eligible for anything from, and we're basically cruising till something happened. And I waited for a long time, but nothing was happening. And
now you said you were working in a pizza place and training at Dorian Gym, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So you lived but basically you lived on the street, right?
Yes, yeah. So we're just jumping from one job to another. As soon as they kick me out, they fire you or something like that. You have to go to another pizza shop or something like that. My English wasn't good as well, so that wasn't helping. So the main key for me was go learn English. So I studied. I was reading bodybuilding magazine. That's, to be honest, that's how I learned English.
Yeah.
So at night, after the shift is over, I would come home, just go through the bodybuilding magazine, read nutrition stuff, and that's how I kind of taught myself most of my English.
Yeah, interesting. My wife is from Europe, and she knows 5 languages, and she told me the same thing. Yeah, she told me the same thing. She said that she learned English by watching some of the cartoons,
yes,
and then also reading books like what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. So when you went to Dorian, by the way, I've met Dorian, nice guy. I really enjoyed it. So I'm assuming you met him?
Yes, yeah, he was at the gym. At the time, he was retired, but he was coming down. His son, Luis, was there most of the time. He was coming. His son was doing some kind of a physical therapy and stuff like that, like a massage therapy. But he was coming down here and there himself. I mean, first time when I saw him, it was the unrealist experience that I had. I mean, like this guy, I'm looking at his picture in Iran, and I just walked into the gym. And Temple Gym is one of the Leo is one of the most fascinating gyms, and it's old school. It's underground. So the first time I went there, actually, I followed this huge guy. I saw him on the street. I lost him. I lost him in an alley, and I said, "Where the hell did they go?" So I went. The second time I went to the alley, and I saw this red door. So I went down. I said, "Oh my God, this is heaven!" Playing heavy metal music, and just these English guys are going at it. They don't want to rip clothes. Nobody cared about how things go. The roof is leaking. The weights are all broken. The benches, it's just like it was heaven.
Yeah, I know. You know, for the average person or most people, they think you're crazy. But I understand. I understand exactly what you mean about that. You know, it's just like it's just like really. It's like it's heaven. It really is. So then, how did you learn? I know that you were probably just being around that gym environment, but how did you learn the style of Dorian's weightlifting or training?
So everyone was kind of training that way at the gym. Kind of nobody was a volume training really. I mean, there was big guys who were coming down. Zach Khan, Ernie Taylor, a lot of great powerlifter was coming down. It was a great environment. It was a very, very small gym. So it wasn't like Gold's Venice. You get lost, It wasn't a clique, this clique or that clique, which is at Gold's Gym here. No, it was right coming down people, and there were English guys. They were just going at it hard. Everyone was working class. There was no there was not much talking going on, to be honest. It was just everyone was banging weight, and nobody coming with the fashion clothes, nothing like that. It was a great environment. And I started, of course, studying Dorian a lot. And I talked to him a few times about the training, about the pump, and stuff. He said the pump doesn't mean anything. So I got interested in his philosophy. So once I studied him, then it led me to Mike Menzer. Once I studying Mike Menzer, it led me to Arthur Jones. So I kind of that's how I kind of learned mostly about the HIT and how it works.
The funny thing is, you've heard. I don't know if you heard the expression. Excuse me. 6 degrees of separation, how we're kind of connected in a way, because when I started, I was first introduced to Mike Menzer. I went to a show. He wasn't competing there, but it was a show in Vegas. And at this point, when I got into it, I was drawn to him. I think it has to do with my body type was similar. So I think I was just drawn to that. And so his, remember what he gave his style of training was called heavy duty.
Yes, heavy duty.
Remember that? Yeah, heavy duty.
Yeah,
so I actually started with Mike Menzer, and then of course through the years, I ended up. I sat in front of Dorian Yates at an Arnold Classic, and that's where I met Dorian and realized that the guy was just what a great guy. I mean, he was great for the sport. Very good ambassador, and he didn't have an air about him. Like a lot of them do. And but it's interesting that how we kind of know similar. People that way, Now, when you went into that gym, obviously, how many years did it? I mean, were you there training for how many years?
I was there about at his gym. I was about 6 years, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
Around 2001 to 2007.
Okay. And the whole time that you were there, were you just training yourself and just the camaraderie among the other people that were in there?
It was guys over there that I was training with. There was a guy, his name was Naz. I remember first day he'd walk up to me and say, can I train with you? I was doing split machine shoulder press with 10 pounds each side. I was so small. And I told him, sorry, I don't speak English. I don't know what you're talking about. And he said, me and you train. I said, yeah, let's do it. So we trained for 6 years together. And
That's cool.
And he introduced me to a lot of people. But knowing those guys, there was a guy over there named Steve Cart. And he owns a gym right now in Coventry in Birmingham. He was a sight to see to training. You know, these guys were inspiring you to look at. You know, just you look at them, you get inspired to go and train because they were pushing themselves. There was no distraction. They were at it. So it was it was a lot of fun, which I don't see these days. That kind of intensity. Intensity is very rare to see. I mean, there is, but not many to see.
No, I totally agree with you. Okay, so when did it turn, when did you take the next step? Okay, I know in your bio you talk about wanting to be a bodybuilder, but when did that moment actually happen? Because when you make that commitment, as you know now, that is a big commitment to make. So when did that happen?
So I wanted to be a bodybuilder so bad. It was just the whole thing. Once I saw the bodybuilding picture of Arnold, that was it. I got so motivated. As I said, I was a national team in Taekwondo. I dumped it. And we started training in the back of a wrestling gym in Iran with a little barbell. And I remember my brother-in-law, he showed a Sean Ray picture to me. He said, this guy is a 6'4". We were thinking Sean Ray is 6'4". And because we were just making up stuff. And he's told me, let's just start training from traps all the way to calves. So we were training every day from traps all the way to calves. So every single muscle. So I wanted so bad, and once I think it was a 1994 video, Mr. Olympia video we found, and once I watched that, I couldn't believe the human can look like that. So that was my. Once I got to England, I got to Dorian. I wanted to compete, but I didn't have the paperwork, so I had to wait. And one of the biggest mistakes, I was waiting for the right time to do it, and that was, I think, one of my big mistakes. And I would suggest to everyone that is waiting, don't just go for it and correct yourself along the way. So while I was in England, just training perfectly, I was eating really kind of good. I didn't know much about nutrition when I was in England, to be honest. It was mostly training, focused on training, and we were eating anything we wanted. I was young, my metabolism was good. But then when I came to America, that's when I decided, okay, you know what? That's when I started competing.
You came to America, some other stuff happened with you, but let me just digress just a little bit. Now, when you saw that photo from Arnold and you were training in Iran, but that was, at that point, it was still illegal to train. Is that correct?
Correct.
So what were you guys doing? Were you did you have somebody watching out the door while you were working out? How did that work out?
No, there was a wrestling gym. There was an Olympic wrestling gym. So they had the mats in the front, and they were training. And they had a dips and pull-ups. There was no gym. Yeah.
Okay.
But we were training in we were thinking bodybuilding.
I gotcha. So you were doing body through space exercises.
Yeah. Yes. It wasn't no machine or anything like that. It was no dumbbells or anything like that. It was a bar. It was just, I think it was one bar. It was a dips for a gymnast.
Got it.
And that was it. We were being creative and creating a bunch of stuff.
Now I understand, because when you said that you were training, I'm thinking, oh, wait, how did you guys do this? Okay, all right.
This kind of training.
Okay, gotcha. I understand now. All right, now, so you transitioned to England, and that you're taking that next step. When did you actually compete then?
So I have to explain to you how I came to America. So while I was in England, as I said, my paperwork wasn't going through, and it's just not happening. So it's just that I came to I had to I couldn't go back to Iran. I never went to military service, and so if I was going back, I would be sent back to jail right away, and I would get punishment for it. So I came to America. I bought a fake passport, and I was young at the time. I didn't calculate anything, and I just got on a plane. As soon as I got in the plane, they noticed it. They noticed me that I'm basically, this passport is fake. As soon as I landed in Chicago, they arrested me, and they took me to a federal prison for maximum security because they thought I'm an Iranian. I'm big, I can speak English a little bit. So the whole thing wasn't going good for me.
Oh my goodness!
So I was there almost a year in prison and getting interviewed by CIA, FBI, Homeland Security. Every day they're taking me for 6 hours, 7 hours. I mean, smoke was coming out of my head. I wasn't able to make phone calls. I never talked to anybody, and no lawyers, nothing. So we were just, and I met a lot of interesting characters over there in the prison. There were a lot of interesting characters. But so after that, they gave me a lawyer. So he fought the case. We went to court, and the judge, you know, he shook my hand and he granted my asylum. And I was left. Basically, they kicked me out, and I walked in the middle of the street of Chicago, homeless.
Oh, my goodness. So how old are you at this point?
20. I was 26, 27, like that. So I was, maybe 28, yeah. And then I was, it was 2008. So 2008. So I was like, middle of Chicago, I'm walking around, I'm thinking myself, God, I don't have money, I don't have anything, and this country is big. It was like looking around, oh my God, this building, even the street is so big, I can't even cross the street. So I found this taxi driver. I said, hey man, you know, can you take me to somewhere, you know, to where the Persians are, or people who can speak my language? He said, oh, it's gonna cost you $100 because they live, you know, I know a restaurant, but it's fine. I said, oh man, you know what? Call this guy from jail. So he called the guy from jail, and I told him, dude, I'm in the middle of the street. I don't know what to do. And he said, okay, I would pick you up. So he came with his family. They took me to his house. It was a basement. I stayed in his basement he threw a mattress in his basement. And I stayed there for 3 months. Every day I'm going to library, reading stuff, what's going on, and waited for my social security. As soon as my social security came, I was going with them, cleaning houses and stuff like that to make a little money to give it to them. You know, I was buying milk and stuff for the kids because I didn't want to live free over there. And so as soon as I got my social security, I bought a train ticket for $140. The first snow that hit Chicago, I hate snow. I said, you know what? I'm running away to California. So it took me 2-3 days to get to California, and I end up here again. Same thing, same scenario. Walking downtown LA, and you know, we went to a motel, and right away I started looking for a job. I started looking at this paper on newspapers and stuff. It was a lot of security job at the time. 2008 was kind of right before the crash and stuff. Actually, it might have been a crash because it was around December when I found a job. So I found a security job, and I started working 7 days a week at the security job. Every day, morning, wake up, and I wake in afternoon at 3:30. I would train with Mr. At Gold's Gym, North Hollywood, with my train. I found a great person, a great trainer, an old school trainer that trained Paul Delev, Flex Wheeler, a lot of guys. And his name is Peter Longwood. He helped me out a lot with bodybuilding. He showed me what bodybuilding means, really.
Yeah. So I'm curious though, like when you finally got over, and so were you on like kind of you said you're Social Security, but were you on like at this point a visa of some sort, or are you still a refugee?
No, the prison gave me a paper that the judge signed. That basically he said the judge signed that I was granted asylum. So with that paper, I was. Then they give me instruction. I went and got my driver license. So I applied for driver license. So and then when I got that driver license, with that driver license, I could go to Social Security and I could go other places. So it was a one step at a time, a slow process of document. Everyone had to check with themselves to make sure that I'm basically legal.
Yeah. So how was your training impacted at that point? Because you're coming from England, where you were training all the time.
We were in federal prison. I never saw outside. I never saw street or never saw a sky. I was in maximum security prison. So it was just me and 64 guys and fucking bro. Sorry, my language.
No, that's okay. No, that's fine. Totally fine.
It was a brutal. To be honest, the first day I have to say, first day when they got me, they put me in jail. It was a little jail the size of this office right here, and it was 6 of us in there, and there was 6 of another inmate in another room, and these guys were MS-13 tattooed up face, and everyone going at it. Everyone swearing at each other, getting, and I'm like standing there, I'm thinking, what is happening here? I don't know even the gang and stuff. So I got to my bed. That was the first night, to be honest, I almost broke down. I cried, and I said, oh my God. And I told myself, you know what, there's not a place here to be soft. You got to put yourself together. And that's it. I put myself together, got up in the morning. They transferred us to a bigger prison. And it was like, as I said, all day long, I was playing chess and watching fights and people fighting, and that's it, watching TV.
Unbelievable.
Watching girls.
That's what an insane life you had at this point. I mean, my goodness, I can't even believe that. It's almost like you can't write this stuff any better for a movie, you know? Okay, so you end up in California now. You're training with this guy in Hollywood. So now, okay, and you were working as security. So now you got some money coming in.
I competed right away. As soon as I got here, and then I started leaning out. I paid Dave Palumbo at the time $400. I paid him. I put it on my credit card, and I paid him for nutrition. And that was one of the best investments I've made. He taught me a lot. I did a keto diet, but by doing that, I was like 4 months of zero carbs. I was just every 2 weeks I was getting a burger. But I got in really great shape. I realized how my body works, and by just doing that, he just jump-started my curiosity about nutrition. So I started studying more about nutrition, understanding how it works. I understood how it works for different bodies, different cultures. You know, we have a different background. If you have different, so it was pretty interesting. So I competed at the first show. I made a mistake, and on the last day, I was looking amazing. I took a diuretic and lost the 14 pounds the day before the show. I came from 184 to 172, about 12 pounds I lost. That kind of ruined it. But it just, that was really got me into it to start competing more and more. And that's when I started pushing it really hard.
You know, the thing about bodybuilding is that you could do everything right and you can lose it all, like you said, in one day. That last week for so many guys is just a nightmare because you start thinking too much, you overthink, and you Tom Platz taught me this. He said, you know, the mistake that guys make is that they think and keep tweaking it, and you want to do just a little bit more, and then you know, then all of a sudden you crash land into the show. You know, you're wiped out, like what you did. I'm sure that you. I had one show that I did because I had a guy that was helping me, and you put your hand, your life basically in somebody else's hands. Absolutely. And you know, I didn't know anything, and I put my myself into this guy's hands who competed at a national level. Well, I mean, he had me wearing a wetsuit the last week before going to this show because he wanted to dry me out, he said. And then a day and a half before the show, he had me sucking on an ice cube. And that's all I was. Yeah. So when I came to the show, all my electrolytes were shot. I couldn't even contract the muscle. I was gone.
I bet. That's crazy.
What happened with you? I'm sure you flattened out. What happened with you on that 12-pound drop?
Yeah, it's just that instead of pulling the muscle out of the skin, pull the muscle out of the water because I was already lean and I didn't need to go that extra mile. You know, as you said, it's just that little tweak. Sometimes it breaks everything apart. But I think that at the end of I think bodybuilding is beautiful because you can't perfect it. It's so hard.
That's right.
Perfecting it, you know that you are the man. You know, I've seen your picture, the one that is the black and white standing right next to Tom. You're so full, your skin is so paper thin. To get that kind of conditioning, you know that you've done everything right. You know? Well,
and the thing about that, and that was one of the things people ask me because until you get into the sport, you really don't understand it. I don't think, you can imagine it, what it's like, but to be actually in it, because as you know, that sport demands everything, and it'll still disappoint you at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely.
But this is where the guys that really, and the gals that really stay in it, it's like, okay, that's exactly the challenge I need because I'm going to do it again. And it's almost crazy thinking, But I think that imbalance is exactly what it takes to be in that sport, unfortunately, in some cases.
It's like a casino. You go in there, you're losing, but you want to go back. You think you got the formula next time.
Yeah, I'm going to do better next time, Okay, so that was your first show. Then what happened after that? Then what was your path then?
So I started competing. More shows from there and learn. And I started, to be honest, pushing the gears, pushing the gear. And a couple of years after that, I was at my security job that I was working, which was a regular job. They fired. I I went to Turkey to see my family because I couldn't go to Iran. I just got my travel document. So when you're a refugee, when you're asylum, they don't give you a passport. They give you this thing called a travel document, so which you can go travel, but it's not the American passport.
Oh, okay.
So I got it, and I said to myself, you know what? I haven't seen my family 14, 15 years. I got to go see them. So I went for a week. I asked my boss to give me a break, and I went to Turkey, and I saw my family after all those years. My brother was a little, and he grew up. He was even taller than myself. My sister came with a baby. And I came back after Turkey, and my boss fired me.
Wow.
Fired me. It was end of 2010. So I started looking for security job. Everywhere I'm going to look for security job, all the vets coming back from Iraq, they were applying for the same job as well. So they were way more qualified than I was. They were a real soldier. So by me, I was just a regular security guard with a little skill. So they would hire them for $10, $15 that you want to pay. Who would you rather choose? The guy coming back from Iraq or me?
Right.
Of course, they would go with them. So I had a very hard time. I couldn't find a job. It's just like at one point I had to go get food stamp. I had no money to even eat. I was trying every single job. So it was and these guys, they fired me unfairly. At the time I was with my girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend. She told me, hey, what do you want to do? I said, my dream is to have a gym, blah, blah, blah. We were just talking about dreams. So the unemployment after the firing me, we went to court, and I told them what happened. I've been working here for 3-4 years. They fired me for no reason, and I'm back to work, and I want to work. So they gave the unemployment gave me $3,000, I think $3,500 in back pay for unemployment. And I opened a SixPax Gym. I found a little place in Culver City on a Craigslist. It was $1,900. He wanted rent, and there was nothing in it. There was like a little room, 1,000 square foot, to a little thing, and there was nothing there. There was a couple of dumbbells he put there up to 30 pounds. And I shook the guy's hand. I said, okay, I'll do it. And I had a barbell and a couple of plates. And that's how I started SixPax Gym. I called the SixPax Gym.
Unbelievable. That is quite a story. So how did you, how did you end up being able to get your equipment? And how
I didn't
did
have
you
any equipment. I didn't have
yeah.
I'm sitting at the gym, people walking, hey, what's going on here, Islamic? And I put over the SixPax Gym, outside, and I said, lose up to 15 pounds, come to the gym. So people would come in, and they would come in, there's nothing there. And I would tell them straight up, I'd say, hey, I just opened a gym, and pay me $1,000 for 3 months. You know, I was selling $25 a session, and pay me, and I'll buy mats for the gym. And they would think, I want to buy mats. And this guy would join, and as soon as he paid me, I would go buy mats, find the mats, and I buy 3, 4. I would spend it for a mat. But next one, I bought the next guy. And they actually, client loved it because they saw me, I'm talking real. If you give me money, I'll buy a bench press. So they would give me the money, and I would buy the bench. And they were feeling like they are part of this community. So they wouldn't leave me. Believe it or not, at the beginning, I didn't even have $150 to paint the wall. Nothing. So it was that bad. But training-wise, it made me a great trainer because I didn't have any equipment, so I had to be creative. And the main thing was I realized from HIT, from Arthur Jones, intensity is the key. So I can make this workout intense as possible with the little bar. I can kill you with that bar, with a 45-pound bar. I don't need anything else. So it made me a great trainer. And plus, one thing it did, I didn't have 1 hour to train somebody. So I shortened my thing. I made it a 30-minute session. So it was affordable to them. It was easier for me to ask more money. And at the same time, it was I could bump up the intensity as high as I want because it was only 30 minutes. And you were out. I would kill you and you go out. And they were, client would love it. It was it would work out for them because they were busy. So it was perfect both ways for us.
Well, and the thing about that, Siavash, is this. Look, I know how hard it is to build a business, a gym business. You know, mine. Again, mine is. I've never had an open gym. It's all been personal training, but still, and I know how hard it is. And I have to tell you that for somebody to want to come in and give you money, that they didn't know you, right?
Yeah, no, not at all.
Okay, so here's what I think. I think that you are so authentic, and people knew that, and they could feel that you weren't, lying to them, and that says a lot about you. as far as I'm concerned. Because I think about that all the time. You know, I'm always amazed when somebody walks into my place. To this day, I think about this, you know, and I never want to forget that, because that keeps me on the ground. It's amazing to me when somebody walks into my office and we do a consultation and they don't know me. Maybe they've heard of me, but some haven't. And then they hand over $700, $800, or $1,000. When you think about that, it's like, who would do that? You know, like you walk into somebody and says, "Here, take my money." But I think based on what you're telling me, and that's a true testament to you. You'll never have I'll tell you, you'll never have a client problem as long as you live, because you're doing it. You're doing it because you love it. You're enthusiastic. That person that's coming to you feels you, and they, like you said, they want to be a part of that. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and one thing I have to say, thank you for giving me the credit. Well, at the same time, to be honest, I think it's it's American culture. It's an abundance mindset, and I hope we never lose this, because a lot of people believe here there's enough for all of us. And I really saw it here in my community where I'm at. Man, I would never, ever be able to build this gym to this point, because people came in, did the free website for me. They come here, they help me out with every aspect. I would post something, my English was wrong, and they would text me, "Hey, you would correct that, you know, on your Facebook, you're saying that." So it was a lot of that as well. Of course, seeing me being passionate about it, and I want to give it everything I had. But I think the culture, American culture, had a lot to do with it. People here, my neighbors, they all want to see me succeed. All of them will root for me. So I was like, it was a really fun experience. It's been a fun experience.
Well, and you know, something, the way I can relate to you is that I've been in the industry for 38 years in the personal training business with my own places. And you're right. You know, you're going to go through tough times. And obviously you went through tougher times than I've ever gone through, believe me. But the thing about that is this: you're going to go through some hard times no matter what. That's just life. You know,
correct.
And I've been in the business for 38 years, and I've had some tough times. But you know what? I've always gotten through because my people want to be a part of this, and they know that I want to be a part of it. And I want their results that they get is just as important to me as it is to them. And they've never let me down. Never have they ever let me down. And even like during this time now with the coronavirus, we've taken a hit. Again, at the top of the show, we talked about how I was able to keep my doors open.
Yes.
But I know that small group of people that you'll always have, kind of like your base.
Absolutely.
Those people will always be there for you, no matter what. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it comes down to, as a gym owner, I'll tell the guys, you know, being a leader, not giving up, living the lifestyle. You know, a lot of people, they come to bodybuilding, they're interested about the lifestyle of it, not the process of it. So if the client's seeing you, that you yourself living that lifestyle, you just want to be a part of it. You know, if you, like yourself, you've been dedicating your life to this, who is better than you? I mean, who is better than you? The LA Fitness down the street who just don't care about you, don't know your name, or the gym like yours that know the name, the name of the kids, and you know, it's just absolutely.
There used to be I don't know if you remember this. It was a sitcom that was called Cheers. Do you remember that?
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, the setting was in a bar, and this is where a bar where everybody would come. And there's a small bar, but it was people that were tight with each other. And but even when somebody else walked into that bar, one of the things they said, this Cheers was where somebody always knew your name, and people like hearing their name. And they like, you know, when they come into a place like yours, because I get that sense. Mine, it's all about, hey, this is not just like you just going into a big old place and getting lost. You're at home now, and we're gonna take care of you. You know, that kind of thing. I don't because go ahead.
Sorry, as you said, is that they're getting acknowledged.
Yeah,
I think people want to get acknowledged. A lot of people these days, especially with. Now we have the social distancing, which is going to make it worse. But nobody acknowledges anybody. I've gone to many parties, and I walk in, nobody even say. It just changes your feeling versus you go to a party. As soon as you walk in, someone calls you by name. Hey, Siavash, what's up? It just changes your mood instantly, and you're in that environment, I guess.
Yeah. Anyway, so listen. So where do you go from here now? What's your? I mean, do you want to? You know,
I want to share one more thing with you that is going to be relating with. Actually, with Tom Platz, I trained with, I know he's a good friend of yours, with Tom. I trained with Tom Platz for a year and a half. We squatted every Saturday together at Gold.
I understand how you feel.
Yeah, oh my God, it was an amazing experience. He moved to Europe, and before he moved to Europe, he sent his stuff, and he came and lived at my house for a couple months. And I have to say, one of the biggest things that I learned from him, not from the squatting, he made me to snap out of being a fan. And I've always been telling the young people, for many, many years, I wasted my time being a fan and studying all these bodybuilders where they were not giving out any valuable information. And he told me, you got to be the man. I remember Arnold was coming to us. I mean, when I was standing with Arnold, was talking to him, Robbie Robinson and Lou Ferrigno. I was standing there. I was, oh my God, this is like a movie I'm watching, standing between these three. But I wanted to take a picture with Arnold, and he told me no. He told me no. He said, you're not going to take a picture with him. You are eye to eye with everyone. Nobody's higher than you. So that was one of the biggest lessons that I learned from Tom Platz, and I would like to share with you guys. So in case you have young people watching, I have to stop being a fan and be the man. That's what
I like that. And I can hear Tom saying that, you know. One of the things that he taught me was he taught me how to make everybody feel special. Like when I traveled with him quite a bit when we wrote Big Beyond Belief. And I learned a lot from him because I'm young in this, not only in the sport, but just being around a lot of people like that, you know. And Tom was a master at that. I mean, he was obviously he was a great athlete, but he was also a great guide for the industry because he knew how to make people. I want to tell
you something about that, Mr. Leo. That's actually when we were walking, going to Firehouse together right after leg training. People would walk up to him, you know, young people from other states, you know, oh my God, this Tom. He would always take his time. He would stay and he would ask their name, where they from, and he would thank them, you know, for taking picture, whatever. It was, for me, watching it from outside, it was such an experience. I would say, you know what, man, if I was that kid, I would remember that moment. And I have seen many people walking up toward professional bodybuilders, Mr. Olympia these days. They are totally, you know, they don't understand, first of all, branding. They don't understand nothing. They're just ignoring people. They acting like a gangster. It's just it's very sad. That's all I can say. It's sad from where we went from Tom Platz and that kind of attitude being ambassador of, what is ambassador of bodybuilding? This is it, you know. Taking your time. So you're absolutely right. I saw that. Absolutely. I saw that in him.
Yeah, and of course, you know, the way he trained, I mean, he taught me how to think outside the box and be instinctive and counterintuitive. You know how he trained, and some of the stuff that he did was wild.
On his birthday, 60th birthday, I was with him. He did 27 reps with 275 pounds squat. I thought he's going to kill himself. I said, oh my God, he's going to kill himself. And everybody's going to say it was Siavash with him.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
He was insane. He's amazing person. Amazing man.
Yeah. So where do you go from here now? You've had your gym for how long?
So, I have my gym since 2011. I've created a system. I'm actually writing a book about it. So my sessions are 30 minutes, and a group of 6 people. I'm working up to 6 people right now. We're in about 4 people. And the company is making a very serious. I got an award from ClickFunnels for $1 million revenue. So the gym is very. I have created this system and the process, which I want to basically hopefully license it or franchise it, or teach other gym owners how to run their business correctly with the system. So the book I'm writing, and hopefully it will be the initial to introduce myself as my story is going to be in there, how I built the gym, the whole 9 yards, and what kind of technique you should use to build a profitable gym. And I want to explain how to start a gym with less than basically $5,000 all the way up to making it making serious money at the gym. Nice.
I think that's a really good idea, you know, and this is one of those things that, you know, I tell people, look, I've been around for 38 years, and what kind of, you know, I think the mark of a good program, whatever it is, whether it's yours that you've developed, the mark of a good program is the one that stands the test of time. And obviously you've stood the test of time, and I have, and we'll still be around
absolutely
for reasons that we both talked about. Listen, you've kind of promoted what you're talking about, but this would be a good time if there's anything that you would like to promote on this program, you know, for people to go to a website, go for it.
Yeah, I would love people if they follow our social media on Instagram and Facebook, which is basically SixPax Gym, and they can check us our website. I'll be updating. I'm always posting about what's going on here at the gym. There's a lot of professional bodybuilders that come here. We sometimes shoot, so it's fun to follow us. And hopefully the book will be out. And my goal is to basically to get it done by end of the year, and it will be a free book. So I'll just pass it on to people. To basically, it will be a kind of a value ladder to introduce myself, as I said, to everyone that what I've done and what I've done is working, and hopefully it works for them as well.
Yeah, listen, I think you're remarkable as a person, and I think that your story is, oh my goodness, just as remarkable. And I'm really glad that I got to meet you and have you on the show. So one of these days when I'm down in Southern California, I'm just waiting for it to open back up again because I'm down there quite a bit.
Oh, I would love to have you here.
I'll let you know when I'm coming down. We can meet, maybe have coffee or something.
Absolutely. I'm not far from Gold's Venice, so like about 15 minutes. I'm on Culver City, actually, where everyone competes the muscle contest. I'm a few blocks away from that. So
yeah, I competed there, in 90 something. I don't know when I competed, but I competed in Culver City, so I know what you're talking about.
I'll be honored, and I want you to bring a picture and sign it. I want to put it on the wall.
Yes, sir. Hey, by the way, I want one of yours. I want you to send it to me. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Absolutely, I will.
All right, man.
I just want to say thank you very much for having me. I know Joe. I want to thank Joe that connected us. This is my first podcast, and to be honest, I was very excited. I told everyone about it, and I want to post it on hopefully my client and everyone listen to it as well.
You did a great job, man, and your story needs to be heard. Anyway,
thank you, sir.
All right, I'll talk to you soon then.
Absolutely. Have a good one. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Serious Growth Podcast. For more episodes like the one you just listened to, subscribe to us on your mobile podcast app and leave us a review. If you'd like to reach out, you can find us online at seriousgrowth.com. Until next time, train smart and train hard.